Let's talk some sports, baby.
And remember, make tomorrow better than today and make today better than yesterday. And you know what we gonna do. We gonna holler at you until next time, baby.
Welcome to A Drink of Wisdom with Jay Wise and Nathan Drinkard. I'm your host, Cody Ward. Thank you for spending some of your time with us tonight. Now, as a reminder to all our listeners, besides being on all your favorite podcast platforms, A Drink of Wisdom is also on YouTube with each show segment available. Head on over, and if you like what you hear, well, we would appreciate your subscription. What's going on, guys? A little chilly. Got some football to talk about. We got a ridiculous NBA offseason going on. How's it going?
Yeah, a lot of NBA stuff going on. We'll get to some weekend football action, but yeah, plenty to get to. Let's go ahead and do it.
Let's talk some sports, baby. You know what it is. You heard the man. We got sports to get into. So, hey, pull up a seat. You know we got to speak. Hey, take it easy on me a little today, Cody. You know what I'm saying? Neck a little sore. I can't be as animated today, so I'm be a little stiff, as Conor McGregor call it, stuck in the mud. So, you know what I'm saying? Let's roll, baby.
I'll keep my outrageous takes to a minimum. In episode 16, Harden eyes Brooklyn, the Bucks wheel and deal, and we recap the weekend in college football. But of course, we'll start with the recap of the NFL action from Week 10. The week overall had some barn burners, some blowouts, and some shocking upsets. DeAndre Hopkins and the Cardinals obviously headlined the weekend with a last-second Hail Mary to beat the Buffalo Bills 32-30. The Rams stayed alive in the NFC West. The Giants stayed alive in the NFC East. Tua won a rookie quarterback duel with Justin Herbert, and that's just scratching the surface, guys. So, Jay, what do you think of the weekend that was?
Well, I mean, I think we ought to start from the top, which would be the still undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers, who are just pacing the entire National Football League. Just to, the consistency is something to behold. I was a little concerned about them heading into this game, especially considering how they looked against the Dallas Cowboys last weekend. But they were sharp in this game. Big Ben was sharp, threw for 4 touchdowns, and it was a clinic what they were able to do out there. They were able to hold Joe Burrow under wraps, and really just in a lot of ways a flawless performance. Mike Tomlin's doing another fine job up there. How about Seattle and the Los Angeles Rams? Seattle's a little troubling right now with what they've got going on. They've lost 3 of 4 after what was a 5-0 start, and they've fallen completely back to the pack. 2 of those losses are in the division to the Rams and to the Cardinals, so you got to be concerned about that. But when you look at them, we know their defense has been troubling for much of this season, despite the acquisitions of Jamal Adams. You throw in Carlos Dunlap, you add them to what you already had at the linebacking core with Bobby Wagner and KJ Wright. But Russell Wilson in his last 3 games, in those 3 losses, he's thrown a total of 8 interceptions. And it's quite simple when you look at the resume of the Seattle Seahawks. When Russell Wilson throws 1 interception or fewer, they're undefeated. And when he's thrown 2 or more interceptions, they haven't won a game. So for all the talk of, his first 3 games, he had, I believe it was 14 touchdowns and 1 interception. There was, the early season talk of, will he break the Peyton Manning single season touchdown record? Well, I don't think there's not a whole lot of chatter of that happening right now, even though, he's still at 28 through 9 games. So it's still feasible, but he's also at 10 interceptions. So that's a bit concerning right now. And I think it's very clear with how the Seahawks are constructed right now. They're not gonna go very far in the playoffs if Russell Wilson is gonna play this way and make this many mistakes. And this is something we're just not accustomed to seeing. So I think it's incumbent upon Pete Carroll to get anything out of this defense, which I believe that's been his calling card throughout his career. But let me not get stuck in the mud too much on the Seattle Seahawks, who did not win this game. But I give some credit to the Los Angeles Rams as well. This is a team who I've described for many weeks now as being a mirage I'm still not completely sold on them, but I will say I think their defense, that would be the difference between these two teams. The Rams defense is looking like a top 5 unit right now. You got Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald. I mean, two of those, your two cornerstones who are playing like such. Think about it. Jalen Ramsey only allowed 2 catches to, the Superman everything DK Metcalf. So that's something you got to take a look at. And we know how much, Aaron Donald's able to, just wreck offensive lines seemingly by himself. So we got to take a moment to give them some credit, I believe. I think it's warranted. Another team I'm looking at Miami. I've been talking about them for the past several weeks. They're on a 5-game winning streak right now. And if you gaze down the schedule, there's quite a few more winnable games. You're hitting to Denver next week. That appears to be somewhat of an easy one. The New York Jets are, 2 weeks from now, and then you get Cincinnati. That they could easily be 9-3, hitting into a tough finish to the schedule. They'll get Kansas City and New England at home, and then you get the Raiders and Bills on the road. So they got a tough 4-game stretch. But if you take care of business in the next 3 games, you set yourself up in good position. And meanwhile, when you look at Buffalo has slipped down. Remember, they're another team that got off to one of those big starts. They've fallen back to the pack, and they fell back on Sunday in just a tragic way with the Hail Mary to DeAndre Hopkins. Miami's a half game back right now. You got Buffalo at 7-3, Miami at 6-3. This division is in play. So you got to keep an eye on those 2 teams. And by the way, the Houston Texans fans, I feel so sorry for them. I just can't imagine watching highlights of this game and seeing what DeAndre Hopkins did to this Buffalo Bills secondary on that Hail Mary and just not feel sick to my stomach. Bill O'Brien, wherever he is, he should be arrested right now for just criminal negligence of just single-handedly burning down a franchise. It's just a terrible situation for Houston right now. And last quick point, another team to be concerned about, you got to look at Baltimore right now. I mean, Baltimore's 6-3. They're still a team to be respected. But I mean, you just look at them, and this is just not what we expected. I mean, this is a team where we looked at before the season, a 14-2 team last season. The way we looked at them, and it looked like they made some real improvements to this team. But they don't appear to have gotten any better. At least it's not showing up in the win-loss column. And in New England, given all the trouble they've had this season, and then with Cam Newton, how he has really struggled throwing the football, you would think that Baltimore would be able to load up against the run and take care of business in Foxborough, and that's not what happened. Damian Harris, shout out to him, 22 carries, 121 yards, a big day for him. But besides that, I mean, we're looking at just a weekend of what we saw. There's some teams that we thought that looked like Super Bowl contenders that look to be in some real trouble right now. Drink Seahawks in the NFC and the Ravens in the AFC for me. There's some Super Bowl teams, supposed Super Bowl contenders that they look worrisome right now.
Yeah. To start off with that note that Jay just ended with. Yeah, hey, man. Listen, it's looking more and more wide open every Sunday that goes past. This is getting highly ridiculous. Starting with Seattle, my NFC representation pick, and I don't know what's going on. Just like you mentioned earlier, playing bad defense and then having a good offense is one thing, but then when you got Russell Wilson, a guy that was at one point in this season leading the MVP conversation, and now he didn't flopped around. Why? Because Jalen Ramsey locked down DJ Metcalf, so we forgot what to do now. Is that what it was? I don't know if that just threw everything off. Like, do we not think that is good corners in the NFL? It's Jalen Ramsey. The dude's been out here talking trash, popping off for like the last 2 years. You cannot not know who he is at this point. So I found that to be kind of crazy. And then, hey, shouts out to the Rams. I thought the Rams was going to be a laughing stock this year. I thought they was going to have to pay all their bills, and they was going to go in the hole with all this money they've been spending. But, hey, kudos to them. Once again, this is why we think that NFC West is the best division in the NFL, because of that parity in that division. Go look at that division. You can lose to anyone in that division any given Sunday. You cannot say that about every division. You ain't looking at the NFC East and thinking you can lose to any one of them any given Sunday. I bet you that right now.
Well, they probably can.
Yeah, themselves, but the rest of the NFL, like, leave up. You know what I'm saying? So, that brings credit for that division. But let me go down here to the Cleveland Browns, 7-10. With Houston, Cleveland won the game 7-10 over Houston. Nick Chubb come back 126 rushing yards, and you get a hot 10 points. That's what we're doing here. Oh, okay. I'm telling you what, I hear a whole lot about Myles Garrett. Then I got Nick Chubb showing up. And I'm just saying, Cleveland, I don't know. I'm just saying, y'all got the people to do it. Personnel is there. I don't know. Just keep doing what you do. Another game that surprised me, Jacksonville and Green Bay. Once again, here come Jacksonville. Coming in, giving you a hard day work on Sunday, only to lose at the end of the day. At some point, Jacksonville, can you just do enough to actually get over the hump? I mean, it's Green Bay.
Don't. It's perfect.
It's Green Bay, so I understand. It's not a huge blackout to lose to Green Bay. I mean, Green Bay is a top team in today's NFL. But come on, if you're gonna put your heart and soul into the game, finish that. And then shouts out to Green Bay because they did have another wide receiver that showed up. Marquez Valdez-Scantling showed up for 150 receiving yards basically. So shouts out to him. Now Devontae Adams can go in and get him some Gatorade once or twice during the game now that somebody else out there catching balls. And then we had a Tampa Bay sighting, 46. They threw up 46 against the Panthers. Can you believe that? Is that the same team we seen the other night? They couldn't get 3 like that. All right, cool. Maybe it's just a Saints thing. Sometimes in football, some teams get into your helmet and you just can't get them out. And this looks like what the Saints got going on right now with the Bucs. They just can't get the Saints out of their helmet. We had the battle of the rookie quarterbacks, Miami and Los Angeles, Herbert, Tua. We had that go down. You see my boy Tua out there. He brought back the patented pineapples for this one because he was dropping them dimes. And he almost made me a fruit salad. He was dropping them so big. But yeah, nonetheless, Tua came back, had a fantastic game. And look, I'm telling you right now, he's 3-0 since he's been the starting quarterback. They're 6-3, and I'm telling you, if they keep this going, they will be a playoff team, folks. Don't be surprised. Week 15, 16, and 17 rolling around, and Miami in the thick of it. And people like, this is the same Dolphins we was talking about that didn't even have a storyline years ago? Yeah, we coming. They coming. So be on the lookout. They in the thick of things. We seen the Hailmary from Arizona. Buffalo, I don't know what to tell you. It happens. It happens. You know what I'm saying? You lost the game. Don't be down about it. It is what it is. At least it was DeAndre Hopkins. At least it's a wide receiver that can make a catch like that. It wasn't Joe Sheffield out there, some dude we ain't even heard of, walking off with the touchdown. You know what I mean? Like, at least it was DeAndre Hopkins, so don't feel too bad. It is what it is. New Orleans. I want to bring up New Orleans. We know Drew Brees. We heard the news about Drew Brees coming out of that camp. I think he fractured 3 ribs and his lung was sort of collapsed or something like that. Drew Brees did come out a day later and said he'll be fine. He'll be back in no time. But with all that said, one crab's legs, you know what I'm saying, young Florida State legend, he came in, Jameis Winston, corrective surgery and all. He came in, and he looked pretty good, I thought, back there being a signal caller for the Saints. I thought he looked pretty good, and I do think he can keep this team afloat, until Drew Brees come back. If he don't keep the job longer than that, who knows? Between him and Taysom Hill, I think they can get the job done. I really do. So that was a development that I thought was good to see. And then, listen, Jay already said it. He brought up the Pittsburgh Steelers. Here's the deal. Did I say Pittsburgh Steelers? Oh, yeah, I did say Pittsburgh Steelers. So with that said, Jay, I got a question for you. You know, I asked you this earlier, but I just want you to put it in whack. Right now, if you had to name the number one team in the NFL right now between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Kansas City Chiefs, who you taking?
Yeah, I'd go Pittsburgh at this particular moment in time, and it's quite simple. I believe I just haven't seen enough out of the Kansas City Chiefs defense at this stage to give them more respect than Pittsburgh. I don't think that means a whole lot in the long term because I think we all know Patrick Mahomes is a great equalizer, and he is subject, as we saw in last season's postseason, to just come out there and just wreck any defense and any game plan you can put together and just overcome any deficit. So that's how I feel about him right now. But given the defense that Pittsburgh plays and how balanced they are, and with how well Big Ben's playing, I would give Pittsburgh the edge right now.
I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad at it at all. I think right now for myself, I think I'm going to take Kansas City just because until I see Pittsburgh play a complete game where it's like, okay, I feel it like defensively, like let's be real here. Steelers, you know what I'm saying, that's pretty lopsided. But I think, you know, with Kansas City with such a gap on the offensive side of the ball, it's enough to get the job done on any given Sunday. So with all that said, those was my biggest takeaways from the NFL this weekend.
Yeah, it was a fun weekend overall. A couple little side notes here. Alex Smith, he had a career day on his first start back. So, I mean, it don't mean much for Washington, but it's cool to see him back. And got to wonder if Washington might have to think about him being back in the fold, instead of just, getting another quarterback in the season's end. That'll be interesting. Your point on Green Bay, I was going to bring this up. I wasn't very impressed with them on Sunday. I watched the whole game because what I do, but the whole they did not look very physical, and something about them just strikes me as a team that's not going to get it done. I know Aaron Rodgers is great, maybe I'm wrong, but they just didn't look physical. They didn't look like they dominated the line of scrimmage. The Jaguars on either side of the ball are not a team that can really do that. So it didn't seem like they had that edge. They had that difference maker. So, that's a team going forward we'll have to watch. That's not something you can fix. That's just you have it or you don't. So, they were underwhelming. The refs had to wipe 14 points off the board with calls to give them that win. So, I don't know. Wasn't very impressed with them for a team that's supposedly 7-2. You guys brought up the Rams. Hey, man, I guess good lesson here is if you can sign superstars and worry about the rest of that crap later because, those guys are playing lights out. Aaron Donald's Defensive Player of the Year candidate as he always is. Ramsey's doing his thing, locked down one of the hottest commodities in football. So that's good to see. Real quick on the Saints, I think that's an interesting point is we're going to get a Jameis Winston, probably at least one start out of him. And a lot of people were floating the idea, though, maybe they were better with Jameis Winston than Drew Brees. Now, I know that talk's quieted since the Saints kind of really got on a roll. Then after they blew the Bucs out, no one was saying that, obviously. But I'm interested to see what the Saints offense looks like with Jameis Winston. I still believe in Winston to a degree. I don't believe you can throw 30-something touchdowns a year and not be good at football or not be a good quarterback. But I've always thought it was coaching, a scheme, and kind of the way he was brought up in Tampa as a part of it. But I'm really interested to see with a great coach and a great system and great players around him what he does, at least for a start. On the opposite side of a good offense, the Bears' offense last night was awful. I hope I never have to watch that again this season. That was the most miserable thing. If Allen Robinson has a GoFundMe to get him out of there, I will personally contribute to it. I feel so bad for that man. But overall, I'll leave y'all with this. The AFC playoff picture, both y'all kind of talked about this a little bit. The AFC playoff picture looks really interesting because we know we get the extra wild cards this year, but there are some good teams sitting outside of the window. I mean, Tennessee is not in the playoff picture right now. They are on the outside looking in. Cleveland at 6-3 is as well. Baltimore also on the outside looking in today at 6-3 as well. Mathematically, the Dolphins would get in over them, and then the Raiders would be that other seed. But the Raiders, only team to beat the Chiefs, played them again this weekend. They got a couple more winnable games. That division's not settled. So both sides are going to have an interesting playoff race. But even with the extra wild card spot, the AFC especially is going to get really interesting coming up in the next few weeks.